Hi, and welcome to day 3 of a week of wonder. I'm wearing red because I've decided it's a rainbow, and so you'll just have to stick with me to find out how that evolves. I'm also really happy because I've seen so many stories and photos and videos of your wonders all around the world, and yeah, nothing makes me happier than watching the ripple effect of cultivating wonder. I've seen people in Dubai, in the UK, in the US, in the Netherlands, so please keep sharing your adventures. I also love to see how creative you get with them. It's just so cool to see people use these invitations as a springboard and make them their own. And something to note about that, and I know I've shared my intention for you for this week, and it was a long list of things. But one of the things that happens unconsciously or unplanned is that as you go on this journey of opening doors and becoming curious about what the things are that put you in a state of wonder, you reveal more of yourself in that process. And you come closer to who you are. It's so cool. And that's why I always say go as far afield as you can with this, because the process will be more revelatory the more creative you get with it. Epic. Keep sharing what you find. I also want to remind you that I have a bowl downstairs with names in it, and every time someone tags me, I write their name down, I put it in the bowl, and on day 7, I'm going to choose 2 people who win a $300 voucher that you can use for any retreat or program that we have at Wonder. So it's worthwhile sharing your adventures with me. Quick recap about day 2, or where we are at so far. Yesterday we spoke about moral beauty. We spoke about the taxonomy of wonder. I also shared about this myth of happiness and how I would love for you to bring your happiness to the present moment, and not for it not to be something that you project into the future, and that you always think that you will be happy once you get that thing, but that you are cultivating those positive feelings every day, and that you lower your threshold for wonder. And in a minute, I'll remind you of the principles that we've talked about so far that can help with that. But I also shared about reciprocity. Such a great word. This idea that everything around you is alive, and therefore you can be in relationship with it as if it were a person. You can be in communion with your ecosystem, your neighborhood, and there's so much richness in that. And in fact, something that I love talking about as well is I feel like people, when they speak about belonging, because it's such a core human need, of course, and because I'm a facilitator, I work around that concept of belonging a lot. But I think we often forget that belonging is also belonging to the place that we live, and that we also get a sense of belonging from feeling connected to our neighborhood by knowing the fauna and flora that lives around us, by being curious about it, by being in relationship to it. All of those things increase our sense of belonging and give us a feeling of safety. So I'm going to keep saying this, but I want you to get to a baseline of wonder. And part of that is increasing your sense of belonging to the place that you live. Isn't that so cool? So we've been exploring a few principles, and I'm going to add another one today. But I want to share what I got up to today. And I left a few messages for people because my love language is words, and I love poetry and I love beautiful words. So I left voice notes for people that I love, and I told them in a few sentences what I appreciate about them and why I love them so much, and what they mean to me, and how much I love having them in my life. And then I wrote a few cards because I also love sending and receiving snail mail. And I started making cards and made a little portrait of everyone. which I'm not sure how happy they'll be with, but we'll find out. And then a really simple one, which I want to remind you of, that is available all the time, is smiling at strangers. And it's something that I do every day. I have to be in a really, really, really bad mood to not smile at strangers. I am that person that walks down the street and is like, hi, good morning, every day of the year. And I love it. It's so disarming because people smile back. And so it works for both of you. I don't understand why we're not all doing it all the time. But that's a practice that I do to make someone's day. And you can tell that some people are totally discerned by it. You know, they're like, oh, how are you? You know, it really makes their day, and I love it. I love it. So please, more of that. And then I did another cute thing where I'm running a retreat in Belgium at the end of August, and I like making retreats so incredibly enchanting and adding so many details of surprise and wonder to them. So it's one of my favorite things to do, to have people be incredibly delighted by what they receive. And it's always way more than they think they're getting. And so I've been working on these little medicine bags that I give to everyone, and I embroidered them by hand. And I've been going out and collecting herbs from my neighborhood here in the Blue Mountains. And I'm going to bring some of the Australian herbs home, and just the knowing that that is going to be so delightful for everyone that will be there makes me really happy. So that's one thing that I'm doing that's projected into the future. And the day hasn't finished yet, so I still have some ideas that hopefully I'll have time for. So moving on to the invitation for today, I want to remind you of the principles that we spoke about so far. So the first one was intention, and then attention. So the more intentional you can be about this journey, the more you'll get out of it. And the more attention you can pay when you go on these adventures, the more of a bodily response you'll have, and the more meaningful it will be. So we're trying to increase our attention span because we're a little bit attention deficient, right? I'm sure you'll agree on that. The more present you can be with things, the more wonderful they will be. It's very simple. And the intentionality, I want to share something about that's pretty cool, because I feel like intentionality gets a bad rap for being woo-woo or something, but actually you have a part in your brain called the reticular activating system, and it's the part of your brain that filters all the information that comes in throughout the day. And it's a lot. We get about 5 million impressions in one day. A lot of impressions. And here's the thing, if you don't program the RAS, I think we call it, abbreviated, if you don't program it, it won't filter it for you, and it will just be word soup. But if you do program it, it will give you exactly what you need. So if you program that part of your brain to perceive all things beautiful and wise and gorgeous, then that's what it will filter out for you. And that's the lens through which you will perceive the world. But if you decide to program it to see all the things that you're against and that you don't love and that aren't great, then that's what you will get on your plate. Let that sink in for a moment. That's big. See how you are in the driver's seat. And that is also one of the principles, is that this is about being proactive and sovereign. And that you remember that you have the choice. That you can lower your threshold for wonder and proactively stalk these moments and create that solid foundation and that reservoir of memories that you can fall back on in darker times. That you can be someone who makes someone's day and benefit from it. That's a lot of pretty cool principles so far. The principle that we're adding today is newness, surprise, and I couldn't find the right English word for it, so I'm going to introduce a Zen Buddhist concept that we're going to play around with today, and it's the concept of Shoshin. And I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. I feel like I have to give it more zhuzh, like shushing. But anyway, I'll write it down for you so you can read it. But what that word means is beginner's mind. It means looking through the lens of an apprentice at the world. And here's why that matters. Because we're trying to create a sense of wonder. And in order to do that, you want to be curious about things. And the biggest wonder killer in the world is routine and domestication. I love that word. But it is when you're so in need for things to be a certain way that you actually can't see beyond it anymore. And so we're trying to shake up routines here and do new things so that your brain chemistry changes and you make new neural pathways. Remember, this is a transformative program. And in order to do that, you got to shake things up. You got to be an apprentice. You have to look at life through a new lens. So, today is an upside down day. You're going to do new things. And here's a few ways that you can do it. There's 2 layers to this. So I think what would be good is if you had a paper and pen and you wrote down all of your routines and then you mix them up. So for example, you look at how do you sleep, where do you sleep, what do you wear when you're sleeping, what do you drink before you're sleeping, etc., etc. And you try and change as many things about your day-to-day routine as possible. Sleep upside down. Sleep in a different room in your house. Maybe like go crazy. Put a tent in your backyard if you can. You know what I'm saying? Like really, really say yes to this. Say yes to this invitation. I know in the first time I ran this program, there was a woman who swapped around rooms in her house. Epic. So that's how far you can go with this. You want to change your mode of transportation. You want to change what you eat. And you want to incorporate as many new things as possible in your day. So, for example, you want to have a different breakfast. You want to eat something you've never had before. Go to the supermarket, buy something you have no idea what it's going to taste like. And then pay attention so your principles get carried through. Savor it. Be curious about it. Go to a new restaurant. Watch a movie from a country you have no idea of what life is like in that place. Be proactive. How many new things can you do? How many things can you learn in one day? Are you someone who likes crime novels? Read some fairy floss. Get some fantasy in you. If you watch Netflix in the evenings, do something different. Make art. So, write down all of your routines and see how many you can change in one day. And then do as many new things as you can in one day and be as curious as you can about everything. You're going to be that child at that age that is like, why? But why, mommy or daddy? Why? But why? That's you. So when you meet a new person, go beyond what your normal interaction would be. Say, oh, that's an interesting name. What's the story of your name? Where were you born? Tell me an anecdote of that place. You're increasing your relationality with everything, and that's going to put you in a state of wonder. How many routines can you break? How many new things can you do? I want to know. This, by the way, is why travel is so epic for people, because it puts you in a state of wonder unconsciously. Because all these principles apply. You have to be intentional because you took yourself there. You have to be intentional, otherwise you're just sitting in your chair in your hotel. You're paying more attention because that increases your sense of safety. So you're more present, you're more intentional, and everything is new, so you have an apprentice mindset. And you're proactive. That's the reason why you're so wonder prone when you're on holiday. That's why those memories of vacations are so anchored in the body. And what we're learning here is how to have more of that on an average Tuesday to increase your propensity for wonder and therefore make your life more magical. If you want more invitations, please get the Wonder Enthusiast Kit. It's so high value. Every day there's at least 20 to 25 new invitations in there. It will help you explore that creativity. There's poetry in there. There's a meditation you can do in the morning that will help create the congruent circumstances for wonder. It's endless. I think you should get it. It's really pretty cool. Keep tagging me on Instagram and Facebook. I want to know what you get up to. If you have any questions, just email me, and I can't wait to see you tomorrow.